I'm Susan, 36. The sun was sinking low, painting the lake in a soft golden light. I sat on the newly rebuilt pier, sipping my grandma's favorite lemonade, thinking about the long, rough road that had brought me here. Around me, the garden was slowly coming back to life, hydrangeas starting to bloom, and the sharp, sweet scent of lavender drifting through the air. It looked nothing like the broken, lifeless mess I'd found just a few weeks earlier. My thoughts wandered back to that dinner, the one that changed everything. My dad, Robert, a successful businessman in his late 50s, had always been strong-willed and stubborn. But after Grandma passed, he met Lily, a 32-year-old woman with a sharp mind and a hunger for money. That night, during what was supposed to be a simple family meal, Dad looked across the table and said, "This lake house is perfect for Lily. I've already transferred it to her name. She deserves a nice summer home." I felt my grip tighten on my fork as I caught the smug look on his face and the satisfied smile on hers. For years, I'd watched my father hand over things that weren't hers to begin with, but this time I was prepared. Taking a calm breath, I said evenly, "Dad, you might want to double-check the records. Grandma left this lake house to me when she passed 5 years ago. It's been in our family for generations, full of memories from summers by the lake and winters by the fire." Lily's voice cut in sharply. "What do you mean, check the records?" Her fingers tightened around her glass, always a sign she was losing control. I pulled up the email I received that morning. "Lily, the lake house can't be put in your name because it's now part of an irrevocable trust effective today." Dad's face fell, confusion flickering in his eyes. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his voice uncertain. I traced my finger across the table's smooth surface and said softly, "The document is clear. The house passed to me, and I have power of attorney. Maybe check the original file Grandma's lawyer, Mr. Thompson, has rather than the copy from your office 6 months ago." Lily snapped, "This is ridiculous. Robert, tell her she's joking." But my dad couldn't take his eyes off the trust papers on my screen. The language was unmistakable. Any unauthorized attempt to transfer or alter the property would lead to instant legal action. I watched as color drained from his face, the weight of his mistake settling in. "You can't do this," he finally said weakly. "I'm your father. This was your grandmother's home." I stood tall, steady. "She left it to me for a reason, Dad, and I'm not backing down." Lily shot up from her chair, the sound scraping across the floor. "You're ungrateful," she yelled. I kept my voice calm and even, just like Grandma used to when she meant business. "Watch your tone, Lily. The trust has specific clauses about harassment, and Mr. Thompson keeps records of everything." Silence filled the room. My dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in a few minutes, while Lily stood frozen, fists clenched, her polished confidence slipping. "But we already planned everything," she whispered. "The contractors start next week." I took a slow sip of water. "You'll need to cancel them. I manage the trust, and no work happens without my written approval." Dad started to speak, but I raised a hand. "And by the way, the trust tracks every attempt to sell or transfer this house in the past 6 months, including talks with real estate agents." Lily's face turned ghost white. "We were just exploring options," she stammered. I leaned in slightly. "The trust doesn't allow any sale unless every beneficiary agrees, and I'm the only one." Dad finally spoke again, but his voice sounded unsure, fragile. "You don't understand, Susan. Lily and I had plans. Selling the place would give us capital." I arched a brow. "To fund another one of her projects? Like the boutique that shut down in 6 months or the yoga studio that never even opened?" Lily's face twisted with fury. "How dare you?" she shouted. "Robert, are you really going to let her talk to me like that?" But Dad stayed quiet, still staring at the documents, his trembling fingers betraying him. I could tell the truth was sinking and he'd been played. After dinner, I drove home with memories flooding back, those long summers with Grandma at the lake house. She taught me so much, especially how to stand up for what's right. Halfway home, my phone buzzed. A message from Mr. Thompson read, "Everything's going as planned." I smiled, replying just how Grandma would have wanted. The next morning, my phone blew up, furious texts from Lily, tearful voicemails from Dad, confused messages from friends who'd been promised the house for weekend getaways. I forwarded everything to Mr. Thompson, keeping track of it all. Later, I drove out to see the property. My heart broke as I pulled in. Grandma's beautiful garden ruined. Her roses were gone, replaced by bare dirt. Piles of construction junk sat by the pier, and a huge dumpster overflowed with her old things, her kitchenware, her wicker chair, everything she loved. I took out my phone and started snapping photos of the wreckage. Just as I finished, I heard a car pull up. A sleek black sedan rolled to a stop, and Lily stormed out. Her hair was a mess, her face a storm of anger and panic. "You have no right to be here," she yelled. I looked at her calmly. "Actually, you're the one trespassing." As of this morning, the security team's been told to treat unauthorized entry as a criminal offense. Lily gave a short, bitter laugh. I'm Robert's wife. This is our summer home. I took a step closer, my voice cool. No, this is my property held in a trust my grandmother set up. And those contractors you hired? They've already been warned. Any more work here, and it's prosecution time. Lily's face twisted with rage. You think you're so smart. You have no idea what you've done. Robert and I had buyers. I smiled faintly. You mean you did? Just like you thought marrying my father would set you up, right then? Another car turned into the driveway. Dad stepped out, looking exhausted, older, defeated. His shoulders slumped, his eyes dull. Lily spun toward him. Robert, you said you'd fix this. But he cut her off quietly. I was wrong. We had no right to make those changes. The trust spells that out clearly. Lily froze. Anger flashed in her eyes, then disbelief, then something cold and calculating. Without another word, she turned and sped off in a cloud of dust. Dad looked around the ruined garden, regret written all over his face. I'm sorry, Susan. Your grandmother loved this place so much. I swallowed hard, fighting the lump in my throat. She did. And she trusted me to protect it, not just the house, but what it stands for. He met my eyes, guilt softening into realization. I lost sight of that. Lily got me caught up in all that talk about profit and luxury. I smiled gently. It's not too late, Dad, we can bring it all back. He studied me for a moment, really seeing me for the first time. Your grandmother would be proud of you, he said quietly, not just for saving the house, but for how you did it. Over the next few weeks, we worked side by side, planting, repairing, rebuilding. Dad changed too. His hands, once used to signing papers and handling deals, got used to dirt and tools. He remembered where Grandma used to plant lavender and which corners got the right shade for hydrangeas. Lily, though, wasn't done. Her lawyer sent offers, digging for loopholes in the trust. I stayed firm. Mr. Thompson told me she was running out of options. Her so-called investors were demanding answers. One Saturday morning, while Dad and I were clearing out the flower beds, Lily showed up again. She stepped out of her car, flanked by two men in expensive suits. These gentlemen are my investors, she announced. They're ready to make you a very generous offer. I wiped my hands on a towel and met her gaze. The house isn't for sale at any price. The trust forbids it. For the first time, her polished exterior cracked. You stupid, sentimental fool, she hissed. Do you even realize how much money you're throwing away? Before I could respond, Dad stood up from where he'd been working nearby. This house belonged to my mother. Lily, this garden, this land, they're her legacy. Not your investment scheme. Lily's face went pale. Robert, be reasonable, she said, her tone suddenly soft. Think about our future. He looked at her calmly. I am. And it's not the future you're chasing. The men shifted awkwardly, realizing the deal was dead. Lily watched helplessly as they walked away, her plans unraveling. I took out my phone. Mr. Thompson has all your records, Lily, every shady real estate move you've made. If you keep pushing, he'll share them with the authorities. Her face drained of color. Without another word, she shot us one last glare, got in her car, and drove off. Dad let out a long breath. I was such a fool, he said quietly. I shook my head. You were just someone who wanted to believe in love again. There's nothing wrong with that. He glanced around at the house, the garden, and the peaceful lake. Your grandmother would be proud of you and maybe proud of me, too, for finally finding my way back. As we worked, the sun sank lower, bathing everything in soft orange light. I thought about how close we'd come to losing this place. Lily had tried to turn it into something hollow and soulless, but Grandma's first sight had saved it. One evening, as we sat on the pier, Dad said, Your grandmother once told me houses are like people, they have souls. They remember who loved them and who didn't. I smiled. She told me that too. That's why this place has always felt alive. Just then, a car pulled up. Mr. Thompson stepped out, holding a folder. Good news, he called. Lily has officially dropped all her claims. The trust stands firm. I turned to Dad. The tension in his shoulders melted away for the first time in years. He looked like the man I remembered, the one who taught me to fish, who built sandcastles with me by this very lake. The house was safe again, and so were we. We hadn't just restored a home, we'd rebuilt a family.